I'm going to show you how to make a cat scissor keeper, and today I'm going to be using wash away stabilizer, my 5x7 hoop, I've got some cam snaps and setting tool, matching bobbin and thread, my curved scissors, I've got my vinyl cut to size. You could also use something like felt, anything that doesn't fray and that's a bit, substantial. I've got a pair of sharp fabric scissors and some tape. So we'll start off by hooping the wash away stabilizer. I've loaded my matching bobbin and thread into my machine and also the file for this scissor keeper. So I'm now going to pop this into my machine and stitch round number 1, which is going to give me my placement outline and my guidelines. Before we start placing any vinyl down, I just want to explain the significance of all the lines on here. I've put a piece of paper underneath my hoop so that you can see what I'm talking about. So you've got this top line here and the side one that runs down the side. That's for placing the fabric for your pocket here, and you will place it up to both those lines. You don't want to go over, otherwise you won't have room to put your scissors in, and you don't want to come this side because it will impede on the tail. The bottom one here is when you come to do the flap of the scissor keeper, and you will be aligning your fabric up. I will show you. There's my my vinyl for the flap. You will be aligning the fabric up to that line, like so, and covering the whole of the top part. I'll explain as we go along, but I just wanted to make it clear while this was still visible. So first off, we're going to lay the fabric down for the pocket. So I'm going to lay this up against that top line and against the left hand line here, and I'm going to tape it in place so that it doesn't move while I stitch it. Now, what is very helpful, I'll give you a tip now, is to cut your fabric nice and square, because if it's all at right angles, it's going to line up a lot easier. And because it's a funny shape and you've got a very narrow area here, that is important. I'm now going to pop this into my machine and stitch round number 2, and that's going to do just the decorative details of the front of the pouch. Next we're going to add the backing, so I'm going to turn my hoop over, and I'm leaving my sheet of paper under so you can see what I'm doing. It's a bit easier, it shows up the outlines. So I've got my backing piece here, and I'm going to cover the whole of the outline, and I'm going to tape it in place. I'll now turn that back. I'm now going to put that in my machine and stitch round number 3, and that's going to secure half the back and the front to the hoop. All that remains on the stitching side is to place our last piece of vinyl on the top here for the scissor flap. But before we do, I'm going to remove the tape, and I'm going to trim this back a little bit here, just so that I can see these guidelines. Like so. Okay, I'm now going to place this and nice straight line along the bottom here, and I'm going to marry it up to the lines here, like so, and I can now tape that in place. pop that in my machine and stitch round number 4. Now that it's all stitched, we're going to remove it from the hoop, but I'm just going to start off by removing the tape first. And now I'm going to pop it out of the hoop itself. Okay, now all that remains is to turn this over, and we're going to cut away from the stitch line just a little bit, but trim all the way around the edge of the cat. Now it's easier to do it from this side than it is to do it this side because you've got obviously a line missing here. Okay, so here we go. I'm using my sharp fabric scissors for this, and I'm going to use some smaller scissors for around the feet. So I'm just going to start off with the easy pieces and try and keep your flat fabric here flat to your cat. Put some tape on it if needs be, just to hold it if it keeps pulling away. I'm now going to swap my scissors for a smaller pair just to do around the toes. Next we're going to put the cam snap on the pocket here so that it can be closed, but first off, where this stitch line is on the inside, we need to cut along there without cutting the vinyl, of course. It's just the wash away stabilizer that we're cutting, and the reason being is because otherwise it's not going to allow us into the pocket. So I'm just going to cut along there. Like so. You can trim this away afterwards. There's no need to wash it really. You can just cut that away so that it can't be seen. So now that allows us access to the pocket. So the next thing is to get the pieces of my cam snap, and there's 4 of them. There's 2 that have got spikes on them, and the male and the female that obviously sit in one into the other, and there's a spike for each piece. So we're going to make a hole with a sharp tool. I've got my stabby tool here, and you're going to do it in the middle of the circle that you've stitched, like so. Then you're going to take one of the spiky pieces and bring it up through that hole that you've just made from the back, like so. I'm just going to push that down. Then I'm going to take this is the female piece, It doesn't matter which one you put, male or female, because there's going to be one on each part. Take the tool, and the black cup is what the spiked piece sits into, so I'm going to insert that behind into the pocket so that it's sitting in the black cup, and then I'm just going to squeeze nice and firmly, and my popper cam snap is now seated, and that's not going to come apart. So next we're going to do the other piece. So what I do is I feel with my finger, and then I'm going to poke a hole as before. This time I'm going to insert the spiked piece from the front down to the back, so the spike comes through the back of the flap here, and then I'm going to put the male piece on top of that spike, and as before the spike piece is going to sit into the cup, and this piece will come down over the male piece, and I squeeze really hard, and that's now seated, and I've now got my cam snap all in position. And there you have your cat scissor keeper. I hope you enjoyed this stitch along. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of new videos as they're published, and thank you very much for joining me.